Ladies and gentlemen, may we rise for the national anthem. Please be kindly seated. Recognizing the very important subject matter we're dealing with today, the moderation of this session and the anchoring of this session will be conducted along the following slides. There are people in the hall who have been trained to take care of our health and safety. Should there be any situations, kindly reach out to those at the back. The presence of our keynote speaker, Professor Akpan Ekpo, Chairman of the Foundation for Economic Research and Training, and former Vice Chancellor of the University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom, and indeed a mentor for most of us here. Let me quickly recognize the presence of Hafsat Rufai, the Director of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Lagos Zonal Office, who is representing the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Yeah. Welcome, Hafsat. Madam Rufai. Okay, we just called you. The internet is on. Most importantly, I would like to welcome Chief Dr. Mrs. Nike Akonde, CON, former Minister of the Federal Republic, and past President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and indeed past President of virtually almost most professional associations. Welcome, Madam. I would quickly also like to recognize a senior professional in my profession, David Andori, the Managing Director, CEO of High Corp Securities. Welcome. I would like to welcome Dr. Adebayo Adedokun of the Lagos State Ministry of Planning. Welcome, sir. I would like to welcome also Peter Elegant, MD CEO of PFI Capital, who is here with us. Peter. I would like to recognize also Engineer Drosola Ubenigun, CEO, Integrated Resources Limited, here with us. Also, from the Ministry of Planning and Budget in the Lagos State, representing the Director is Mr. Kadri Olanrewaju, here with us. Last but not the least at this time will be my recognition of Clement Ison, the Executive Secretary of the Major Marketers Association of Nigeria. I saved you for the last. Without much further ado, I deliberately left out the panelists, obviously, because we'll do that much later. Without much further ado, can I invite Mr. Benga Adefaye, the General Manager, Editor-in-Chief of the Vanguard newspapers, to come and give a welcome address, a brief one. Thank you.
Chairman of this occasion, Mr. Atedo Peterside, Chairman and Publisher of Vanguard Discourse, a very distinguished friend of Vanguard, Mrs. Nike Akonde. She's always there for us, whatever we do in Vanguard. Our keynote speaker, distinguished panelist, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the publisher of Vanguard newspapers, Uncle Sam Amuka, management and editors, I welcome you to the fourth in the series, Thought Leader Vanguard Economic Discourse, an annual contribution towards the attainment of Nigeria's economic aspiration, a seminal platform for cross-fertilization of ideas and recommendations needed to fast-track economic development and improve the welfare of the citizens. This year's edition is themed National Plans and Performances, Gaps, Lessons and Opportunities, and decidedly so because it coincides with our election cycle, where our political leaders are expected to make the economy a central focus in their pitch to the electorate for our mandate for a tenure in leadership. The attainment of Nigeria's economic aspirations, we believe, requires critical thinking and a new approach to almost every facet of our national life. Hence our decision to invite to this discourse by both policymakers, intellectuals, private sector players, and activists to critically assess our national planning culture vis-à-vis the state of the economy, provoke new ideas and recommendations necessary to transform this culture from mere routine to highly impactful strategies that delivered vivid macroeconomic results and improved standard of life for Nigerians. Such assessment, we believe, is imperative given the recently launched National Development Plans 2021-2022, which is coming close to the eve of another administration amidst unprecedented global happenings that demand bold and new policy initiatives from government around the world. To lead us in achieving this mission, we've assembled an array of eminent speakers from diverse professional and academic backgrounds, representing critical segments of our national life, the government, the industry, the academic, labor, and etc. We are confident that out of their inspiring presentations and rich contributions, there will emerge additional transformative ideas that will lead to a new national culture of plans and implementation that will deliver the Nigeria desired by all Nigerians. There is no reinventing the wheel, as they say, but we can at least redirect attention to our economy and to its transformation. We are confident that the contributions of our discussants here will help. Thus, we look forward to your robust contributions, even as we wish you a very delightful time at the 2022 edition of the Vanguard Economic Discourse. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Without further ado, it will be my pleasure to invite the keynote speaker. By way of introduction, may I set the tone here. Professor Akpan Ekwu is the chairman of the Foundation for Economic Research and Training, and he is currently a professor of economics and public policy at the University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. He was the Director General of the West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management, WIFEM, in Lagos, Nigeria, from May 2009 to December 2018. He is a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, and Professor Ekwu is also a former Director at the Central Bank of Nigeria. In deciding on the keynote speaker, the organizers reflected on what and who was able to present the information in such a coherent manner, would the distinguished panelists interrogate such a suggestion. It is therefore my pleasure to invite Professor Akpan Ekwu. Please come. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, MC. The chairman of this occasion, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. If I sound a little bit, I just had an eye operation. So I thought there would be a PowerPoint presentation, but there's none here, so it's okay. Let me thank the Vanguard newspaper for inviting me to this important occasion. I've been told I have only 20 minutes. I prepared some PowerPoint slides, but can't use them here, so I will just do my best. Now, what I decided to do was to look at economic planning in Nigeria and an appraiser. And I'll look at this in terms of, I have the introduction, then I'll look at briefly some conceptual issues so that we'll be on the same page. And I'll look at planning and governance, because they are linked with some evidence from Nigeria, and had a table showing the development plans from 1962 to present, to the newly approved one. And then looked again closely at the governance issues by looking at some indicators of institutional quality. And then performance of Nigerian economy, outcomes from planning. And then I make some concluding remarks. That's the approach I'm taking. So as an introduction, the British imperial power, as you know, integrated the Nigerian economy into the global capitalist system long before political independence in 1960. That did not change the neo-colonial status of the country, and did not change our economic relationship with the developed countries of Europe and North America. In recent times, as you all know, China has entered the equation. So Nigeria remains broadly an exporter of raw materials into industrialized countries and an importer of finished goods and services from same sources. All efforts to change the equation through policies and programs have yielded marginal results. Such efforts included planning the economy to enhance growth and other macroeconomic fundamentals. Consequently, the country's economic trajectory is replete with series of plans from 1962 to 68, the recently approved National Development Plan of 2021 to 2025. It must be stated that planning was abandoned in the mid-1980s based on the advice of the Bretton Woods institutions, implying that planning was synonymous to build a socialist economy. However, to bring some sanity into the fiscal operations of government, the medium-term fiscal framework, from which the medium-term expenditure framework is derived, was introduced, but the latter itself was not and is not planning. All economies have development plans, all, including the United States, short-term and not long-term, to ensure sustained economic growth and development. A strategic thinking government will ensure that its plan is properly implemented. In Nigeria, the leadership, bureaucrats and technocrats have conceptualized, formulated, and implemented various economic plans with inherent programs and policies with the objective of fast-tracking development. Yet, the outcomes are nothing to write home about. Why? Is it due to the governance and leadership style? It is on record that both the military and the civilians have governed for 30 years each, if I'm correct, with various plans and programs to improve the standard of living of its citizens. Available evidence shows that about 90 million Nigerians live in poverty. Rate of unemployment is almost 34% and rising for youths. Inflation is about 16%, while the misery index keeps rising. There is insecurity across the country. What has been the performance of the economy since the return to democratic experiment in 1999? within the context of economic planning and government pronouncements. So in this address, we want to address some of these questions by looking at the gaps, opportunities, and other matters in our planning efforts. It is my hope that the inherent analysis will further provoke useful discussions about economic plans and governance with evidence from Nigeria. Let me say that I've sent the paper to the organizers, both the prose form and the PowerPoint. So I'll just do a summary of what I have because of time constraint. But nonetheless, let me look briefly at conceptual issues so that we can be on the same page. There's a lot of confusion about some of these concepts in my mind. Unfortunately, I've been involved in this process for over almost 30 years, not as a technocrat and as an advisor. So, economic planning is a deliberate government attempt to coordinate economic decision-making over the long term and to influence, direct,